Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. In this video, I'm just gonna kind of go over my first impressions of Rosaria. Kind of go over, the current build and the current team that I'm actually running for her. So here, to get right into it, Rosaria, if you don't know, is a new polearm user. She's a 4-star. She's a cryo polearm user on top of that, so that's pretty cool. So here, the first thing I want to get into is first, I did manage to get to level 80 here, like right off the bat, and get her talents and everything. I got all of that pretty the early. I managed to get her to Constellation 4 within 90 wishes, so that was pretty lucky, honestly. And honestly, I feel like this one is probably which one? I think they're all pretty good. The first and second Constellation is actually really good. When Rosaria deals a crit hit, her attack speed increased by 10%, and her normal damage attack is increased by 10%, which is really nice. And the second one is really good because it just increases her all for 4 seconds. And then the fourth crit hit just gain energy, so she actually gets her ultimate a lot quicker. So I don't have the other two, so it's kind of whatever. But overall, she's been really fun to use. I've been primarily using her as a main DPS. I haven't been using her as a sub DPS. I'll probably get into a video of a sub DPS build in the future. But if you guys are wondering if about sub DPS, I feel like energy recharge might be the best way to go with critical damage. But it also just depends on the build that you're going for. But I feel like energy recharge and critical damage is the most because she gets a lot of actual critical rate if you build her right. So if you build Rosaria with actually the 4-piece cryo set, which the 2-piece gives the 15% cryo damage bonus, and then the 4-piece gives 20% crit rate if they're affected by the cryo, and then 20 more percent if they're frozen. So you essentially don't have to build her too much on crit rate, because most of the time you'll at least be getting the first 20% with her. So if you get a decent amount of crit rate, or if you get lucky with some crit rate items, then you don't got to worry. I highly would recommend having a second cryo. If you're going to use her as a main DPS, I really feel like she shines. Like with somebody with Chi-Chi, is really good. Just because Chi-Chi could use her elemental skill, and it's always hitting people with ice every few seconds. So it will raise her 20% whenever she's hitting the enemies. And then on top of that, we're having the 2 cryo. I can never remember the entire bonus by heart, but the increased critical rate against opponents that are frozen or affected by cryo by 15%. So essentially you're going up 35%, or if it's not 35, it's 55%. So you're getting a 55% crit rate bonus if they're being frozen completely. But then if they're just affected by the cryo, you're getting a 35% bonus. So majority of the time you'll be hitting critical hits with Rosaria if you're running this type of build, which is really nice. And also, I wanted to talk about her talents. Of course, the Ravage Confession, it just teleports behind the enemies and deals them with cryo damage, and it does a pretty good amount of bonus. I haven't got it too high yet. They're all level 6. I'll probably level these up here in the future. But her first Ascension passive is that she gets a crit whenever she uses Ravaging Confession for 12 seconds. It's just only if you only hit it from behind. So if you actually use it and only hit the enemy from the front, I don't think this will actually proc. So just keep that in mind. So again, now you're getting another 12% critical rate bonus with Rosaria. So she gains a lot of critical rate. So this is a character you don't really have to worry too much about critical rate if you build her correctly. And then also she gives the entire team 50% critical rate whenever she uses her ultimate. She doesn't give it to herself. So this is really good for a sub DPS build. So if you're just using her to actually just use her ult, then this comes in handy a lot. This comes in handy as a main DPS too, because if any other character you change to, like Zhongli or Fischl or anybody like that, they get that 50%. So either way, it's really good. But I feel like this is really good for a sub DPS build if you're trying to get like Child or somebody with more critical rate for a couple seconds, or 10 seconds actually. And then honestly, this right here, her Nightwalk, it's actually one of the cooler passives in the game because one, it's not a food passive, it's not like a cooking passive. Like I'm actually tired of those. Like majority of the characters have cooking passives, so I'm really glad that they gave her some sort of unique passive. She's the only one that that really has the 10% movement, which is really cool. So like when you're fighting at night, it's easier to dodge. You know, that's really it. You're faster, but I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. So, and the way I'm actually building Rosaria. So here we're gonna go to the artifacts, and so I'm getting critical damage because again, we don't need that much critical rate. Of course, don't mind the artifacts; they're just garbage right now. So whenever I get better ones, I'll try to switch it out. But it's really hard to get critical damage with good substats, so it's just luck. But critical damage, I will be trying cryo bonus damage over physical damage in the future, so that's something I'll be testing out, and I'll try to get a video on later whenever I've been using it and get all the artifacts at level 20. But for now, it's going to be physical damage. I'm using ours main DPS physical damage, and then you'll see why I'm using the specific team I'm using as well. And then, of course, this is attack percent to give her more attack, and then the other two doesn't really matter. But for substats, what I'm really mainly looking for her, I feel like the most important is critical damage, elemental recharge. I mean, if I could get crit rate, that'd be good, and then attack percent. Those are pretty much the ones that I want to get. I don't really need the others. I don't see how elemental mastery would affect her too much. Of course, unless you're doing a superconduct, but it would probably be better to have like somebody else, like Fishhole, to do the superconduct and have her have higher elemental mastery. But that's really on you to choose and test out if you want to test that out. But I'm not going to go that route. So yeah. And then, of course, the weapon that I'm using at the moment is a Dragon Spear, just because of the physical damage bonus, and the effect is actually really good for Rosaria herself. So this is actually a really good choice. I don't have really any other spears, but I would say the Favonius Lance, of course, if you're just trying to be an alt bot for her, of course, you're still going to have to use her to use her elemental skill to actually charge the ult, unless there's other ways to actually charge it. And the other, actually, I want to go over the other two, the other good ones. So, of course, if you're going to give her a 5-star, then it's probably better than any of the 4-stars, to be honest. So the one, like the 5-star I have on Zhongli would be really good on her, honestly, for a, because it gives her critical rate. So here, let's look at it. So see, this gives energy recharge. It has really good base attack, critical rate, and attack speed increase. So this honestly would be a really good, if you do have the Skyward Spine, would be a really good choice for Rosaria. But we're going to look at the other two just really quick. They don't really look too good. One of them I would prefer if you're going to use her as a sub DPS. But the other one, I don't know. I don't think I would use it. So here, let's look at this. Like something made up later. Okay, so it's the Crescent Pike. I'm pretty sure that this is the one. Actually, no, that's not the one. I guess this would be another good one if you don't have the Dragon Spine, but I would prefer to get the Dragon Spine over this, honestly, because it does more damage. I think the Dragon Spine would do more damage as an effect than compared to Crescent Pike, but I'm not too sure at the moment. But I think this one would be really good for if you're going to use her as sub DPS, I feel like this would be a good choice as well. Just because of course, the energy recharge. So you want to try to get her ult as much as you can. So you could drop the ult, get the 50% critical rate for your team, and then use either a melt composition or either a super conduct composition with her. And I feel like the prototype story would actually be really good for her. And I just want to go over the specific team that I'm going. I'll probably go into detail more about more teams here in the future, but I'm just going to talk about the one I'm currently doing. If you guys have any questions on like maybe the team you want to rock with Rosaria, just leave them in the comments below, and then I'll look over it and see if it's good or not. Honestly, it's always your choice. It doesn't really matter if it's good or not, as long as you enjoy the team and the synergy that they bring. But if you guys need help, just feel free to put in the comments below. But the team that I have right now is Zhongli, because when you ever use that elemental skill, it actually reduces the enemy's elemental resistance and physical resistance by 20%, I'm pretty sure. Then of course Fishhole, because you could summon Oz, and then of course if I'm using cryo, the superconduct is going to go off, which reduces the enemy's physical resistance again. So now Rosaria is even doing more damage. And then of course Chi-Chi, just because one, she's a healer, and two, she's a cryo, so it does the elemental resonance, so that works really well. Just having a healer on the team is always like super beneficial. And yeah, that's really the reason why I'm having this team, and it's actually really good. So here, I'll go and kind of just test it off a little bit, do a couple kills, just show you what I'm doing with it. But overall, with Rosaria has actually been really fun. She's actually a really good character, and I feel like she'll be either really good main DPS or a really good sub DPS. So here, let's get right into the action. All right, guys. I'm in my my normal farming route, and here we're gonna go around. I didn't really talk about her ult as much. She summons a also for her ult. She's like summons this giant spear that lasts on the field and kind of pulsates cryo. So that's why I think it's going to be really good for a sub DPS. It's also really good just for her in general. And of course, because of Zhongli's shield, it makes the sustain for Rosaria even better for the current team that I'm rocking.
Want to taste of my hammer?
I normally go with Zhongli first, and then I'll change. Summon eyes to get on the field, and then if I do have one of Chi-Chi's abilities, I use Chi-Chi, and then from there just go all in. She does have a hard time fighting just enemies with shields, like normal wooden shields or even cryo shields. Of course, cryo shields, of course, but I was talking about the geo shields as well, but she has a really hard time with those, so that's kind of one of her downsides, is just fighting those type of enemies. But with Zhongli, geo shields are not an issue, but of course, if you don't have Zhongli, then you might have to find a way to actually get around that. You might need either a Claymore user, or another Geo user like Ming Wang to actually get around that. But I feel like this this team composition I'm rocking is juicy, really good. I'm really curious to see how good her Superconduct is, but she does a pretty good amount of damage. Still don't know if which one would be better, cryo bonus damage or physical, but for the time being, I'm gonna be going physical, and it's been pretty well. She isn't like OP or broken, like insta-killing everything, but fighting pretty high level enemies, she actually takes care of them pretty fast. So. And she also isn't fully built yet as well. Want to keep that in mind. She has like maybe one level 16 artifact at the moment, and then a few level 8s. So just keep that in mind.
Midnight Phantasmagoria. You can't run.
Fighting with her at night really makes it feel a lot better. You could just feel the difference of you running a little faster. Like you could tell the difference. It's not a major difference, but it's definitely noticeable. And yeah, guys, that's really it for my first impressions of Rosaria. She's really good. I would definitely try to get her if you're in need of just a cryo character, to be honest. She's actually a really good 4-star cryo character. And she's a full arm user, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, guys. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching.